Analyst Samuel Kennedy. Samuel, talk to us more about this particular breaking news.
Uh, Good evening, Eunice. Good evening to the listeners. A couple of things as a comment in passing is there's a souk starting on the 27th,
22nd,
22nd, I mean,
this coming Friday.
this Friday, and we encourage people to attend. I know I've spoken to a couple of businessmen. I've asked them to phone you that want to be there. So if you're in the Durban area, please make your way down to the Durban Exhibition Centre. Two is Eunice and I, this is probably our 110th show, somewhere thereabouts. And so I want to also, over this Christmas period, thank all the listeners and Eunice in particular for the sometimes robust, we had an element of robustness during the issue of the Ratepayers Association during the year. And again, our prediction was spot on. So we've never let you down as a listener. I've got lots of friends around the country. Just had a very good meeting with Dr. Alan Busak, just to get an indication of the dynamics of the change in the political landscape of South Africa. There's a nice word for it, Eunice. It's called tumultuous. It's a political tsunami. It's like an earthquake. I think the ANC is in a state of quandary. Quandary in the sense that the actions of its former leader. Remember, Jacob Zuma is being the longest serving NEC member. NEC member. More longer than Thabo Mbeki, longer than Nelson Mandela, longer than anybody in the ANC. He's been an NEC member probably for about just under 5 decades. NEC member. And so the actions of a former president, which is unprecedented, of publicly being vocal since the election of his successor, who he brought out of exile. Remember, Cyril was an NEC member, but not in the top 6. And in 2012, Zuma, through his cabal or his group, enticed President, who is now the President, Ramaphosa, to come in and be Deputy President. And in 2012 in Mangaung. And so they worked together until Zuma's term was about to expire. One of the problems with the term of office in government versus the term of office in the ANC, they're not aligned. So what had happened was, like Mbegi's term of office was just about to expire and they removed him. Zuma's term of office was just about to expire a few months before and they removed him for whatever the reason. And if you listen to his statement, he made it categorically clear that he didn't know why he was removed. He didn't know. He said, I don't know why I was removed, but whatever the movement tells me to do, I will do, but I'm not happy with the removal because nobody has come and, this is what his words, I quote, nobody's come and told me what wrong have I done for my removal.
Yet the public has expounded, the media has expounded that he was full of corruption and all these type of things.
Well, he's saying correct. He's saying everybody says a lot of stuff about Jacob Zuma, but nobody has been prepared to criminally get an allegation proven correct or proven true. So everybody says there's a prima facie case, we have evidence.
So he hasn't been found.
He's never been found guilty. And then the other side of the coin, the liberals, which is the Democratic Alliance, they have this notion that no, these are Stalingrad tactics. And the question then is, Stalingrad, how does Stalingrad work when there are charges on the table? The problem in South Africa with the justice system, and I'll come back to the Jacob Zuma issue, the problem with the justice system, it's slow. It's very slow, very tedious. You put a high court action now, you got 6 months, maybe 3 to 6 months before the case is heard. Supreme Court of Appeals, even worse. Constitutional Court, unless you have an absolute urgency, you will take 2 years. But coming back to the tsunami, we all know that in 2021 there was what we call looting, but for want of an English word, it's called an uprising. And the uprising was as a consequence of the incarceration or the imprisonment of former President Jacob Zuma. There are two sides to that coin. The one side of the coin is that he didn't comply with a constitutional court order. That's the one side to the coin. The fundamental rule of law is you've got to have a trial. You cannot be prosecuted outside of a trial. And as you know, historically, in apartheid, our people were prosecuted, sentenced, imprisoned without trial. And so that's his gripe, that he was incarcerated, sent to prison without having a fair trial. And in terms of the South African Constitution, in fact, it's a universal legal precept. It's called the right to defend oneself, right? And the right to appeal. So whoever's advising him has probably told him those are the dynamics of unfairness, of unlawfulness, of prejudice, and the like. So he was detained or incarcerated, sent to prison in escort. There was an uprising, there was a looting, and his followers and his family were very embarrassed that a former president had to be subjected to that. So he's been making these protestations since 2017 that money was used to buy votes in the ANC. Some people said it was 1 billion, some people said it was 2 billion. Ramaphosa took it on to court to block the CR17 statements to be made public, so that the public don't know who funded his campaign. That's another matter for another day. So coming back to the Jacob Zuma scenario and this new entity called MK, Mkhonto weSizwe. It doesn't say Mkhonto weSizwe, it just says MK. The Secretary General of the ANC has come out publicly and said that they will take up a legal challenge because the name is synonymous, or he didn't use the word synonymous, he said it's a property of the ANC. Legal experts have come back and said, but there's no trademark. It's just synonymous. So that's a matter for another day. What has come out, I just read it a few hours ago, that the ANC, in its wisdom, in September tried to get a patent or a registered trademark on the name. Obviously, they got wind that there's a party that is going to be registered or that is submitted an application in terms of the Act, Electoral Act, in terms of the Constitution, in terms of the law, to be registered as a political party. Zuma now, with all his unhappinesses and his grievances and the way he feels he was ill-treated and the way he feels he was denigrated, he's now aligned himself with that.
Now, I want to stop you there. I don't want to lose the thought I have regarding this particular issue. If you recall, Zuma's son, when he was addressing the public at the time of his insurrection, or during the insurrection, he mentioned that he will either stand for presidency or they will have another party formed. Now, Carl Niehays, who is a close ally of Zuma, and he was ruling, sort of in a ministerial position or whatever during Zuma's reign, also mentioned after they expelled him from the ANC, he definitely going to form another party.